Hi all, welcome to this session on Daily Scrum. First of all, thank you for taking out time from your busy schedules. I believe we are all Scrum enthusiasts over here, people who believe in agile methodologies. You guys might be already implementing Scrum practices in your projects and trying to learn quite a few things here, or you might be new to Scrum and trying to see what all benefits it can bring to you. Whichever phase you're in, this session is for you. In this session, we would be covering the topic, mastering the daily Scrum, busting myths and perfecting practices. I am Amita Singh. I come with IT industry experience of 18 years. In this tenure, I have worked on quite a few projects wherein some were successful, some were failures, and learned in the process. Although all those learnings I would be able to share with you, rather basis my experience, I would be able to help you out with daily Scrum session as such, what I have seen working, what I have seen does not work, and if it does not work, what can be done to correct things. All those things we would be covering in this session. I am XLRI alumnus. I do have a certification in project management, PMP certified I am, plus PSM1 certification I did under Anand recently. That makes me part of this group, and that has provided me with a platform to come forward and discuss my learnings and thoughts with you all. Thank you, Anand, for providing me with this platform. Now, you might be pretty experienced in Scrum practices, or you might be having years of experience in the project. But I can assure you, by the end of this session, you would go back with a fresh perspective on this event, Daily Scrum event. As well as you would be in a position to work out what all things you can implement in your projects and what all things you are already doing in your projects, but doing it a bit in a wrong way. You'll be able to correct that. The motive is to learn from the experience of others, as well as to share my experiences with all of you. Let me set the agenda. Yeah. So in this session, we'll be having Scrum Guide as the guiding factor in the background. We would be covering what all Scrum Guide says about daily Scrum, but at the same time, we would bring in a practical perspective to things. We would rather try to understand it in the right spirit, as well as we would be demystifying certain myths which are there around this event. We would also be having a demonstration of how a daily Scrum meeting can be conducted. That might not be a perfect example because we would be able to analyze and see, yes, there are a few right things being done here, but at the same time, there would be certain things going wrong. We would discuss how we can correct those things. Now, it's a common practice. People do conduct stand-up meetings in their projects. So there are various methods of facilitation available in the industry. We would cover a few popular ones among those. We would analyze those as well. And at the same time, we would cover the mistakes which are commonly happening in the industry and how we can correct those. That will be our focus. At the end of this session, we would be having quiz to understand what we have learned so far. Fine. Now, would request active participation from all of you so that we are able to see whether we are still in the right direction. Now, as a mode of participation, either you can put in your inputs on chat so that we will be able to cover those things by the end of this session. And also, please feel free to open your mic and talk. It's perfectly open. The other thing is, we have we would be utilizing Mentimeter. It's a platform which is available freely. What we have to do is we will have to visit this page of menti.com. I can copy this link and I would paste it on the chat window for all of you. Thanks, Alan, for the comment. It would be really helpful if people can turn on the camera. It would be really interactive. So here is the link for Menti. Easiest possible way of visiting the Menti pages. You can click on the link which I have provided on the chat. The other way is you can go to menti.com URL and enter this password. In case you're using your phone, the easiest way is simply scan this barcode and you would be brought to this page. Now, would like to know your inputs. When we say daily scrum, when we say this word daily scrum, what comes into your mind? If we have to describe daily scrum in a few words, what would that be? I hope you have already gone to the page menti.com. Rather, I can help you see how it would work. You can copy paste this link, visit this link, and you would be able to see something like this. You would be able to see this text field wherein you can enter your words and click on submit. Thanks a lot for providing the inputs. Also, would request you to not close the page because we will be utilizing menti.com all through this session for our interactions. Awesome. So most of us believe that daily scrum is there to inspect and adapt. Yes, that's true. It is there to reflect on the progress. Absolutely. Perfect. Some say it is there for quick status update. Perfect. 15 minutes time box event it is. We call to check progress, I believe you're trying to say. Awesome. We would wait on this page for, say, another 10 seconds, and then we'll move forward. Thank you for your inputs. Yes, progress and challenges are covered here. Quick status update. It's a stand-up meeting. That's the most usual word for this meeting. Yes, resolve blocker for updates. Teams call to check progress. Yes, in case it's online, it would be a Teams session. I believe that is what you're trying to say. Or is it the Scrum team that you're trying to say? Identify blockers. Yes. All in all these, yes. Impediment was the word which I had been waiting for. And most of us have covered this word. So impediments are covered in this daily Scrum. The team highlights the impediments as well as tries to resolve it. So guys, the catchphrase for us here is Daily Scrum is for the developers and it is by the developers. All these inputs are correct. Let us see what Scrum Guide talks about Daily Scrum. As per Scrum Guide, the purpose of Daily Scrum is to inspect progress towards sprint goal, adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming planned work. Now, the focus all through this event would stay towards the sprint goal. The Scrum team would have already done sprint planning, so they would be aware of what all items they have in the sprint backlog. They know what is the sprint goal, the ultimate goal they have for the duration they have defined for the sprint. In this meeting, the team would come forward. All the participants would be there of the development team, and they would be able to track, are we still on the right track towards our sprint goal? In case we are not, or if something has changed since our last sprint event, what course correction is required? Would that lead to something going wrong? Or do we already have some blockers, some impediments in our way? What are those? How we can correct those? All those things would be covered in the daily Scrum meeting. Now let's set the stage first. Scrum is for the Scrum team. When we say Scrum team, it is one Scrum Master, one product owner, and a set of developers who are called development team. The Scrum Master is there to establish Scrum practices. He is there to act as a facilitator or guide or mentor. But his agenda is to ensure that Scrum practices are implemented in the right spirit. The project is progressing towards the sprint goal, and the team is working efficiently. He is there to enable the team become self-organizing entity. He would establish Scrum practices, help team members learn it and adapt it in the right spirit. And then he will take a step back, let the team function on its own. Then we have the product owner. He's the person who comes with product knowledge. He's the external facing entity. Since he knows what is happening outside the team, what is required in terms of product, so he is the one who would bring in product knowledge. He is the one who's accountable for maintaining the product backlog, as well as he is there to tell the team, hey, this is a priority item. We have to cover this first. All those prioritizations of the backlog items would be done by the product owner. He will bring in that information to the team. Then we have the developers. It is a set of people who it's a set of professionals, we should say, who have the right skill sets required to do the work that they have promised or committed on by the end of the sprint, whatever items they have committed on implementing and delivering as per the definition of done. To do those tasks, these developers must be having the right skill sets. At the same time, these guys are accountable for creating releasable increments. It's a cross-functional team, and they are the ones who would own daily Scrum meeting. They are the ones who are accountable for managing the daily Scrum meeting to its effectiveness. Now, as per Scrum Guide, there are certain rules defined. And also as per common understanding, or rather learnings which people have, certain rules have been defined for daily Scrum. Most of it we have already covered. Same time, same place. That's there to avoid complexity. We discussed that it's for the developers, by the developers. So development team is the one owning daily Scrum meeting. Now, since it's for them and by them, they have to be present. And they have to ensure all the people who are part of the development team are participating to the fullest. Since the sprint planning has already been done, the backlog items have been listed down. They would be tracking their progress in this meeting. Now, when the team is co-located, when it's there physically present, they usually have a Scrum board to bring in visibility, to make everybody aware of what is happening in terms of our sprint goal. Now, we also have at times team members who are not co-located, who are working remotely. In those situations, having an online platform helps. We have project management tools available like Jira, Zoho, or Microsoft also provides these. We have ample number of project management tools available. Any of them the team can choose. But the idea is the whole team should be aware of what is happening with the items that we have committed to deliver. Are we on track? that visibility has to be there. Now we already covered impediments will be covered in this Scrum meeting. As per Scrum guide, it has to be time boxed to 15 minutes. From practical perspective, if I say it's okay, 15 minutes to 20 minutes, no problem. It's not end of the world. But in case it is not getting finished within 15 minutes, it is getting extended to longer durations, then the team has to take a step back and rethink what are we doing wrong here that we are not able to finish it within the time box. The other thing is Scrum defines various values, 5 values in the sense. This commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. All those values are incorporated in this event. When a team member is providing his inputs, it's imperative that the other team members should listen to him. It is possible that some of the team members have something so very important to discuss that they want to have cross conversations. If it's so very important to discuss, the others should also be listening to it. So that decorum of the meeting has to be maintained, so that everybody gets a chance to participate and the conversations come out. They happen to the fullest, but in the right spirit. All in all these things are being done, keeping the sprint goal in mind. That is the target that the team is trying to achieve. Now, this is all theory, which most of it already the team participants over here would be aware of. If not, it's there in the Scrum guide. Let's try and cover a practical, or rather, let's try and understand daily Scrum meeting. Let's see it happening. So we have a few video clips here, which would help us see how a daily Scrum meeting is conducted. For that, there is a scenario. Let me just take a few minutes and explain the scenario so that you'll be able to understand and grasp it better. We have a Scrum team here who is given up responsibility of a new project. The name of the project is Weather Master. Now, this Scrum team has a problem that they are new to Scrum. They are not aware of the intricacies of how these events work. But they have a Scrum Master. Fine. So we have a Scrum Master here. Let me introduce the participants to you. We have Rick, the Scrum Master. He is all aware of Scrum principles, practices, and he's there to guide the team. But since it is their first daily Scrum meeting, the team is bound to do a few mistakes. But the Scrum Master is there to guide them. Also, we have Angela, the product owner. She is absent currently from this meeting. And we have a development team. Let me introduce the development team over here. We have Mary, Kelvin, Susan, and Aaron. These 4 people are co-located. They are available in the same with the Scrum Master. And they have a Scrum Board in front of them. But another problem is they have Todd, who is working remotely. So he's available online. But his needs would also be incorporated so that all the participants are able to participate and share their thoughts. Would be sharing a video. Let me start the video clip and do let me know in case somebody is not.
Hi team, welcome to the daily stand-up meeting for the product team on Project Weathermaster. We are in Sprint 1 and today is the second day. As we are planning to transition to Scrum methodology, I hope you will find this daily stand-up meeting helpful. In this meeting, you will provide information about what you did yesterday, what you plan to do today, and what challenges you faced. I think everyone's here. Let's start.
I don't see Angela. Shouldn't she be here?
I did add Angela as an optional attendee to this meeting, and since she hasn't showed up, we don't have to wait for her, Susan.
He works from his...
So here, The Scrum Master started Daily Scrum meeting by setting the agenda. He said everybody would be participating and we expect all of us to answer a set of questions. What we did yesterday, what we are planning to do today, and if at all there are any impediments, so that the agenda is set. They have a Scrum board in front of them. Now, here we saw that Susan, she pointed out that the product owner is absent. But the Scrum Master said, product owner is an optional entity. It's perfectly all right if the product owner is not available in the daily Scrum meeting. And they were ready to go ahead. In ideal sense, the Scrum Master and the product owner both are optional entities because it is for the development team and by the development team. The Scrum Master and product owner may be present in this meeting only if they are also participating as a developer. They are adding value to this meeting. Otherwise, it's okay to skip them. That brings us to a question. In case we have product owner available in the meeting, what all things can go wrong? Let us come back to Menti page. The question posted is, what could be the potential undesirable side effect of product owner attending the daily Scrum? What can happen? You can insert, okay. On menti.com page that you had earlier used, the same page, you would be able to see this question as well as you would be able to select options out of these. The available options are the product owner might be monopolizing the meeting when he comes, or it's possible that he would turn it into a status update meeting because he's interested in status update. Or the team might not know whether they should report to the Scrum Master or they should report to the product owner. Who are they answerable to in this meeting? Okay, thank you for your inputs. Okay, let me put the timer for say another 10 seconds, then we'll move forward. Thank you for providing your inputs. So here, 57%, majority of the people believe that product owner may monopolize the meeting if he comes. Correct. While around 30% people believe that this meeting might turn into a status update meeting. That is also a correct answer. Actually, it's a mixed one. So we should see what a participant is interested in. The product owner is interested in the final product outcome because he's there to get value out of the increments which would be delivered. So the product owner is very much eager to know what is the status, how far we have come. And also, he is answerable to people outside because he is the external facing entity here in the team. He's answerable to people, so he wants to know what is the status. It is correct that product owner should be aware of the status, but daily Scrum meeting is not there for the product owner. It is for the development team. The product owner might want to connect with the team separately and see what is happening. Or maybe the common portal would be accessible by product owner as well. He can go and see there, and if you want some detailed discussion, he can have separately with the team members. So the problem with product owners coming into the meeting is, yes, they might monopolize the meeting. And also, they can turn it into a status update meeting, which is definitely not the agenda of daily Scrum meeting. Hence, he's an optional entity. Thank you for your inputs. We would continue using Menti throughout the session. Now, let's move to the next clip. The Scrum meeting has moved forward now.
He works from his home office, right?
Todd will be a part of the meeting through video chat. It is important that we include every team member in the meeting. Hi, Todd. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Am I audible?
So remember, we had Todd, who was not physically present. He's joining the team online, but he's also physically present or not. It's important that the team members actively participate in the meeting. How they are going to do it, that it's left to the team to decide. So the development team might want to add in some certain tools to help the online team members actively participate in this discussion. So here they would be utilizing the online interactive tools available like Teams meeting or Zoom or Google, anything, so that they are able to help Todd interact with the team members and actively participate. That brings us to another question. What, as per you, could be the best way to include remote participants who are there in different time zones? Because it can happen that we have a team working from India, but they also have some team members who are not in India, they're in a different time zone. What can be done? Perfect. They should find a common time slot and include the team members using remote communication tools, because the idea is everybody should be able to participate. How they do it, let's figure it out. So the team meeting moves forward.
Why don't you go first, Aaron?
Yesterday, I was working on creating the mock objects to mask the database calls from the unit tests. The difficulty with this approach is that our server-side logic is so dependent on the metadata that writing a true mock is a mammoth exercise. There are decisions that are taken during run.
So, getting back to your update, did you finish the task yesterday?
No, it turned out to be much more complex than I had imagined. I'll continue to work on it today and see if I can figure out an XML structure to mock the schema and hardcode some return values. But I am really stuck as far as the inline queries are concerned.
I know what you're talking about. There is a reason why the inline queries are there in the...
Sorry for the interruption again, guys. This is a really great conversation. May I suggest we write this issue in the parking lot?
I'm not
So
sure
quite
what
a
you
few
mean by
things
that,
here.
Rick.
We had Aaron here, who is very much willing to tell the team what all things he has done yesterday. Although he was not able to deliver any outcome, but he's got lots of things to say in the meeting. We do have this type of candidates in our meetings, but the Scrum Master readily intervened and asked Aaron to stop. Please do not go into details of the things. It's perfectly okay. We are over here to discuss the progress we have made. We will not be going into detailed discussions. If at all something is really important and needs a detailed discussion, let us park it. Let us note it down, and we will cover it later as a 16th-minute discussion item. Also, there was a mention of parking lot. Parking lot is a very good project management practice. It's used for facilitating team meetings. Whenever the team meeting is digressing, it's going off topic, or the discussions are going into so much detail that you would not be able to cover it during the given time frame, or it can be some impediment, which is very important. The team has to cover it, but they cannot cover it in this discussion. All those things can be written down, noted, and that will become part of parking lot. It is important, but not for this meeting. It will be covered up separately during the day. Another important thing here is since Aaron was stuck, he has an impediment. He had an issue. And there was another teammate who was actively listening, which is a good thing. And she jumped in to help and support. She would have already solved a similar problem earlier. So why should Aaron waste his time in reinventing the wheel? Rather, he would discuss it with the other teammate and they would be able to help each other out. But the mistake which this teammate did was she also started into detailed discussion. where Scrum Master again had to intervene and tell them, yes, what you're discussing is very important, but not to be covered in this meeting, please. We will put it in parking lot, take it ahead later. That takes us to the next question. What, as per your opinion, is the most important role of a Scrum Master in the daily Scrum? Is he there to take notes while the meeting progresses? Or is he there to note down the impediments and help the team resolve it later? Or is he there to advise the team in terms of, hey, you're doing this thing very well, or no, this is not what you did correct? Perfect. So yes, you guys are, majority of the people here are absolutely right. Scrum Master is there to note the impediments, and he would then, it's rather important for the Scrum Master to help the team resolve the impediments as soon as possible so that the progress is not hindered. Now here, point to note is, the Scrum Master might not involve directly and solve the impediments, but he's there to ensure that the blockers are removed. What way it would be done, that's up to the team and Scrum Master to decide. But the blockers are definitely not a happy thing to be in. They would want to come out of this situation as quickly as possible. So this is good. The team meeting moves further forward.
Yesterday, I worked on developing the wizards for bulk order creation. I'm almost done. Today, I need to write code to handle some of the exception scenarios before I can get them over to Susan for testing. That's it for me, I guess.
Did you forget to mention any impediments?
Not really an impediment at present, but I would like to mention that my computer probably needs to be upgraded with more RAM. It has been slow for the past few weeks.
Okay, I wrote up some scenarios to test the bulk order wizard. I'm looking to get my hands on the code as soon as Mary is done. Today, I'm also hoping to complete the company order testing that has been pending for a while. I'm okay for the moment, but I do have one question. Shouldn't we all be updating the task board as we speak?
We could. It is up to you guys if you think you want to do this during the meeting. If you ask my opinion, we should update the board as soon as we are ready to move the tasks and not wait for the meeting. This will ensure that the board is always up to date and also that we use the meeting time to focus on the conversations.
That's a great point, Rick. I can't see the board very well from here anyway, so maybe we should find a way to create an electronic version of it too at some point.
So as we see, as the team progressed with the Daily Scrum meeting, they kind of learned things, and there were a lot of right things that they were doing. For example, Mary here, she was to the point. She discussed what she did yesterday, what problem she is facing. She even covered that, but within a very short time span. Although she forgot to mention the impediment and Scrum Master had to remind her, but it's okay. She did not go on and on. She covered all the important things in a very short time span. That is important. Also, she highlighted that she's going to finish one task which the other team member would be interested in. That is the sole point. The whole team is here to make others aware of what is happening, to increase coordination among team members. So Mary and Susan were able to coordinate better because of this Scrum meeting. Also, I believe Todd was also highlighting that he cannot see the Scrum board because he's online. So he would require help here. And the Scrum Master, although did not have a solution right then and there, he noted it down in the parking lot. That yes, this is also one problem I have to resolve. One problem Mary had in terms of her machine. The other problem was Todd being online, was not able to actively participate. These things were noted down to be covered later. Other thing which Susan highlighted was, hey, we are not updating the Scrum board. Shouldn't we be updating the board as well? Which is good to highlight. This is a common practice when the teams are having this daily Scrum meeting, as in when the participants are talking about their pointers, they usually start updating the statuses on the Scrum board. It's a common practice. But the Scrum Master highlighted that, okay, this is also correct. But a better approach would be to keep the board up to date, real time. As and when during the day the status has changed, please come and update. Either the physical board, or if it's online these days, the Jira and all, that's super helpful. Wherein real-time updates are made by the team members. Everybody has a common dashboard, and other good practices, people having their own dashboard. What is it that is pending on me? My dashboard plus the team's dashboard. So that everybody has complete visibility in terms of the items that they have to work on and what the team is working on. So these were certain good things which happened in this Scrum meeting. So the team members have quite learned things here. Let's move forward.
Hey Rick, would you like to know about my work on the advertising module first or the integration server?
Whatever the team decides is fine with me. Remember, this is really your meeting, and I'm only here to facilitate and ensure we get the most out of this meeting.
It's a common practice that when there's a group of people, somebody would be a dominating factor. Rather, it can be some senior in the meeting, or a Scrum Master, or the product owner. It's a common practice. At times it helps also. But the idea is the whole team is accountable for the daily Scrum meeting. So it's not one person who's going to dominate the meeting. Here, one of the teammates, he was asking, shall I go first or should the other guy go first? Scrum Master, please tell me. Although it's a good idea to be polite, let other people get a chance. But the Scrum Master here actively highlighted that it's up to you guys to decide. I am not the decision-making entity here. The whole development team would be deciding what will be the structure of this meeting, what questions would be answered, what items would be discussed, in what sequence they would go. All that structure would be decided by development team and not the Scrum Master. He's just there to guide. So this brings us to the last clip for us.
I don't have anything new to add today. I'm almost through with setting up our project on the freeware tool that I downloaded yesterday. I'll show you guys a demo in the meeting I set up later today. I'll try to chase down some of these parking lot items. Anything else before we close the meeting? All right, that's it for today. Have a great day.
Do you have a moment to chat about the inline
A few
queries
things
real
to
quick?
note down here. By the end of the meeting, the Scrum Master, he also gave status. Rather, he also shared the progress he has made, because over here, he is donning the hat of Scrum Master, but he's acting as a development team member. He also has picked up a few tasks for himself, which he would be covering during the day. He provided status of that. But at the same time, he highlighted it's for you. It will be decided by you. He gave equal opportunity to all the team members to highlight if at all something is amiss, something to be highlighted, covered. Everybody got a chance. Now the Scrum Master concluded the meeting by kind of summarizing things.
श्री सुनाई नहीं देता ना क्या
So
बोलते
that
हैं
people go back
क्या बोल रहे हैं
with
बार-बार
the relevant information. Now,
Sorry, Amita, I just muted you. Can you
Now
unmute?
your voice is not coming.
so here, certain good things happened. One, the Scrum Master summarized for everybody to be aware of, okay, fine, we covered all these things. These are our highlighted points. Everybody got equal opportunity to share if at all something is amiss. And also, since The meeting has concluded. Now the 16th minute discussion items start, which is there would be certain items which are kept in the parking lot that require discussion among teammates, but not among all of them. So those who are done for the day in this meeting, they would move out and start focusing on their daily tasks. But those team members who would be willing to participate in the continued discussion. For example, Aaron, he had a problem, which the other team member said, I can help you solve it. They can stay in the same room or continue in the same meeting and continue with their discussions, while the other team members would move ahead. That is a good practice. So 16th minute discussion items, that's a good practice to start with. So with that, we have seen a working model of daily Scrum meeting. Now, would like to highlight a few things here. Since daily Scrum meeting happens every day and usually at the beginning of the day, it's very important to keep things positive, to maintain a healthy environment wherein people are looking forward to come and attend the meeting rather than they dragging themselves, okay, I'll have to attend this meeting. And it's up to the team. If the Scrum meeting is a collaborative event wherein the team feels importance, they feel motivated to attend the meeting, it's a healthy state to be in. But in case it rather falls into a blame game or where people are put on the spot, they become uncomfortable about things. Such things have to be avoided. So it's really important to keep positivity in the daily Scrum meetings. Rather, one way to go ahead with daily Scrum meeting, rather one way to keep in mind is maintain psychological safety. People should feel free to come out and share their thoughts rather than having in their back of their mind that, oh, if I share this, I might not look right or I might be blamed for something, which is not good. So if the team feels safe coming out and sharing things, things become pretty much easier for the whole team. Let me share an example. Where we have, say, a team of developers, one developer could see that something is going wrong, or because of a blocking issue, he knows there is a problem, but he thinks that if I share it now, let me try and fix it myself. I'll try to do something. But I will not share it with others because I might look as if I don't have the right skill sets. He is not feeling safe to come out and share. He might end up doing things on himself, spending days together on the same. The result would be, one, he might be able to do it himself, but he would have already taken up a lot of bandwidth, which could have been used in some other important task. Or it can happen that he would not be successful. And at the end of it, he committed for 3 days. At the end of third day, he will come back and say, I am very sorry, I could not finish it. I tried really hard. But what's the point of discussing it in the 11th hour when so much of time and effort is already lost? Rather than that, if this teammate felt safe in coming out and discussing his problems, it is possible that other team members would be able to help him out. And they would together be able to solve this problem quickly without wasting so much of time and effort. And that is a sign of a healthy team. So it's really important that the team members feel safe in having these discussions. So now let's move ahead in terms of, we promised that at the start of the discussion that we would be discussing the common ways or popular ways of discussing, of having these daily Scrum meetings. One most popular one is 3 questions, which is every participant gets a chance to talk about these 3 questions, wherein he would be covering what I did yesterday, what progress I have made yesterday, what plans I have today and what blockers or impediments I have. This all is there keeping the target, the sprint goal in mind. Now, one good thing about this approach is most agenda items are covered by answering these 3 questions. It brings a structure to the team. People know they come prepared, so it's easy and it is not very much time consuming. So it's a very good approach, most popularly used. But a pitfall of this approach is it can become a mundane task. I know I'll have to answer these 3 questions. I'll talk, give my answer, and then I'll keep quiet. Then the other team member has to say whatever he wants to say. I'm not even listening. Because it has become a mundane affair, people will find it a bit boring. So the other way is bring up some spice. How do we make it interesting? Think of ways to make it interesting so that everybody feels spiced up in participating in these discussions. One good thing about these is we had Scrum. Its foundation lies on empiricism and lean thinking. And the pillars of empiricism are transparency, inspection, adaptation. These 3 questions are bringing in transparency. Of course, people have to be transparent and give the right progress information. It brings in transparency. Since everybody is aware of the progress being made, they can see, they can inspect. Are we on track? Is there something amiss? Is there something going wrong? Are we going to fall into a pit? Those things they would be able to see and highlight. And then they would be able to adapt their plans accordingly. So it is a perfect fit, these 3 questions. But we talked about bringing in spice or making things interesting. So one way is the team members might decide, oh, we've been covering these 3 questions pattern every day. It has become a mundane task. Let's change things. Other most popular way is walking the board. We discussed we have the Scrum Board displaying the important items which the team has committed to work on with their various statuses. Plus, the team might plan to add in the information like efforts or end date, whatever they want, they can add in the information. In fact, a few teams, they also have one more column added here called blockers, wherein they would highlight, I have this blocker, I need help. And the team would then think of what can be done to resolve it. One thing to note here is the focus has to remain towards the sprint goal, towards the task, not, okay, when the project manager mindset comes in, his idea is, I have to ensure all my resources are occupied to their fullest. Capacity is used properly. Rather, here the approach is, I have to ensure progress is made towards a sprint goal at the right pace. That is important. So the focus has moved from people to the task. Another popular method is, this is usually applied by pretty mature teams, wherein they list down items in terms of priorities and the team members voluntarily would pick up. Say the highest priority item would be picked up first by somebody. Now the other person, since the bandwidth is available, they would pick up another high priority task. Good thing about this method is the important items would definitely be covered. There is no chance that a high priority task would be missed out. So it's another good approach available. But again, it's up to the development team to decide which approach fits them, which approach is going to work for them. In the retrospection, they would think and see what has gone right, what has gone wrong, how are we going to correct it. They will adapt, they will inspect and adapt. That is the right spirit of Scrum practice. Now that we have covered important things about popular methods, let us also see common mistakes which usually occur in daily Scrum. One of the common thing is, we already discussed this. Slowly, day by day, the daily Scrum turns into a status update meeting, wherein people just update their status and go on. And the other team members, they come into the meeting to check the status, the product owner or the Scrum Master. They would check the status, okay, fine, we did this right, we did this wrong, we are off track, let's cover it. But it's not just a status update meeting. The idea is to improve coordination among the team members. Help them become self-organizing entity. Help them make them sufficient enough to solve their problems themselves. They should be looking forward to attend these daily Scrum meetings because they would be able to transparently share their inputs. They would be able to inspect progress and they would be able to adapt things. Another thing is not discussing scope change in the team. Daily Scrum is happening at the beginning of the day, but that is not the only event where things are changing or things are being discussed. It is possible that during the day something important has come up. For example, say the team has built a website. During the day, they got to know that this website has gone down. All the servers have gone down. It's not functioning at all. It's a big production issue. All their planned activities for the sprint would be kept aside because it's an important activity. It's an important thing which has gone wrong. Of course, some people would have already started working on it, but it's really important to discuss that in the daily Scrum meeting. The whole team has to be made aware of. Or it's possible that the product owner got to know that, okay, the goal that we had decided to improve our website speed, say from loading time of 5 seconds to 1 second. But the competition has already reached 1 second. We cannot wait for that long time. So now the scope has changed and it's important because competition has already gone forward. Many situations arise where things are discussed out of the daily Scrum meeting. During the day, a lot of things have happened. This platform can be utilized to make the team aware of what is happening. We have to do some course correction. Things have changed. Of course, Scrum talks about adapting to change. That too efficiently. Daily Scrum event is a platform. It can be utilized to do those activities. Because when in the meeting, the team members would be discussing, hey, partner, the competition has already moved to 1 second. What can we do to make things quick? They would be piling in suggestions. There would be some good suggestions coming in. The whole team, some team members might want to collaborate and do things quickly together. All those things can be covered here. Another example that comes into my mind is Government of India has brought in a regulation that Aadhaar number cannot be shown on the screen. When this regulation, it's a regulatory item, very high priority. One team member who would have got to know that, okay, fine, this is an activity that we have to work on, that guy would be having some ideas, he would already start implementing it. But in the daily Scrum meeting, when you would bring in this point, hey, there's a regulatory item, we have to ensure that Aadhaar number is not visible on the screen. What are the ideas? What can we do about it? One team member might have thought of a long way of solving this problem. The other team member might suggest, hey, why don't we simply change at the front end? And we'll be able to at least do away with the problem right now. We can continue with a detailed solutioning, detailed long-term solution later. Those quick fixes can be discussed. Of course, it's not a detailed solutioning that is being done in the daily Scrum meeting. Problem is discussed. And they can discuss, okay, I have a few ideas. Let us cover in the 16th minute discussion. Time box getting violated frequently. It is the most common anti-pattern. because the team gets so very involved in their discussions, they kind of lose track of time, but it takes a toll on the team's efficiency. So if regularly it is happening, they should do course correction. Another thing is meeting getting hijacked by product owner for refinement of user stories or for detailed discussions with the product owner. That has to be avoided. It is important, but to be covered later. Then it happens that whoever is the facilitator would be updating the Scrum Board. Because what will happen is only the facilitator would be aware of the statuses. Others would not be bothered. So it's really important to involve people, to make them do things themselves. The more involved they are, more aware they would be. It happens when the team is new to Scrum. They would need the Scrum Master to do hand holding. It's common for Scrum Master to facilitate the meeting. But that should not become a common practice. Because by the end of it, Scrum Master's agenda is to make the team become a self-organizing entity. He is there to coach the team in terms of Scrum practices. He's not there to do things himself. He's there to help team members learn to do things themselves. So Scrum Master, after some time, once he gets to see that, yeah, the team has matured enough, they would be able to pick things themselves, he should leave things to them and take a step back so that he can focus on other important things. It happens that daily Scrum meeting is utilized for adding work items. And then the sprint backlog would balloon itself. That is a wrong practice. Of course, at times it is important that it happens that something has changed, like Aadhaar example we discussed. It will have to be added in the sprint backlog. But the team's capacity is limited. In case, of course, if the team has decided or come up with a quick fix, we can do it in 2 hours by doing changes in the front end, awesome. Otherwise, if something has been added into the sprint backlog, something has to go out. And that will be a collective decision. Everybody should be informed so that not an important item is thrown out of the bucket. That has to be avoided. Now, but if in case the sprint backlog has started ballooning, there is something going wrong, which the team should inspect and correct. It happens. At times, the product owner kind of missed adding an important item in the sprint backlog, and say a week through the sprint, he thinks of, oh, I forgot, I should be adding this more item. Since Scrum is there to welcome change and adapt, and it's important, they would, if it is important, they would add item into the sprint backlog. But that should not become a common practice. It has to be highlighted. Hey, product owner, it is a mistake. You will have to correct it. You cannot continue doing that. Or it is possible, development team bifurcated or refined the story items, but they forgot to add one important story item. They forgot to cover a particular scenario, which they now want to add. Awesome. It's good that you were transparent enough to bring forward that, yeah, I forgot to add one scenario. But again, it cannot become a common practice. What should be done to correct this behavior? That the team has to analyze and correct things. Another thing is, this we discussed. Daily Scrum should not become a problem-solving session. It has to be covered later after keeping it in the parking lot. Not calling out potential spillovers or fake updates. Okay. When when a team member sees that he would not be able to finish a task within the time frame, we discussed this. There has to be psychological safety in the team, that the person feels safe, he trusts the team would take it in the right manner. Then the person would be highlighting, yes, there have been I do see a few spillovers. If he is highlighting it, the team would be able to cover for it. But again, why we are having spillovers? Something has to be corrected. The other thing is fake updates. Since everybody is aware, yeah, I have to answer these 3 questions, I can rather tweak my words, give an update, but at the same time, not give a proper update and come out of the meeting. That is wrong, has to be avoided. But the person doing it, of course, he would be knowing that it is wrong, but he would not be correcting it himself. The team has to come forward, and here the participation by the team is really, if a person is giving fake update, if the other team members are conscious about the updates being given by the team member, they would be able to catch it. They would be able to question things. Rather, by questioning, layer by layer, going deeper into things, we are able to see things. If a person is giving fake updates, if you ask a few more questions, drill down a bit, you would be able to go to the bottom of it. Rather, you would be able to resurface the actual truth. It's not about keeping an eye on your team members. No, it's about being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the statuses being updated or information being provided by the team members, actively participating in those. And that way we will be able to help each other out. Absenteeism, or people coming late for the meeting, or not speaking up. These are again a few problems. Why would somebody be not willing to participate in the meeting? Could be that he is not finding any value. He thinks it as a waste of time attending the meeting. But why is that happening? It's possible that somebody goes on and on and on, and the other people, they think of it as a waste of time. Or it can be the team meeting there is so much of negativity in the daily Scrum meeting that people are not looking forward to attend it. Why to go early in the morning to such discussions? But these things, culturally, it is incorrect, has to be correct. That is where the Scrum Master comes into picture. He is able to see these things before it boils up and into some rather unfortunate event of not delivering the item in the right quality or on time. Before something bad happens, let's correct it. Also, the development team would have to be conscious enough in seeing what is happening in their team. If somebody is consciously coming late or somebody is trying to avoid the meetings, it's better to have a one-on-one discussion with them, see what problem they are facing so that they can correct it together. Another problem is people not speaking up, people not being very participative in the daily Scrum meeting. One thing is there are introverts who are anyways trying to avoid small talks. But the other thing is there are people who want to hide things. Not being transparent is against Scrum value. One way could be to bring a structure. So the introverts like structure. You ask them, if I am aware, being an introvert, that I would be asked these 3 questions, I would come prepared for those 3 questions, and I would be very happy sharing an update. If there is something important to discuss, the introverts would be happy about discussing those items. Of course, they would be avoiding small talks. That is okay. But somebody not actively participating, consciously avoiding things, the team has to see through these behaviors and try and correct those. One-on-one discussions or root cause analysis, there are a lot of ways available to correct things. But maintaining a healthy environment in the team is very important. So that covers things which go wrong. But again, there are a few takeaways from this discussion, which is Daily Scrum It promotes collaboration and self-management. That is the idea. Development team should become a self-organizing entity. They would be able to define the structure, conduct these events, take decisions themselves, keeping the sprint goal in mind. Daily Scrum amplifies transparency. Transparency enables inspection, and inspection would lead to right adaptation. We discussed about psychological safety. It's very, very important in the team. The other thing is it enables focus on achieving an outcome. We have a sprint goal in our mind, which we committed on during the sprint planning meeting. That focus should remain towards that goal. But it's okay. It happens that the team committed on completing 5 stories in a sprint, but they were able to finish only 4. It is okay. It is not end of the world. The next item, the item which was left out, would be moved to product backlog list, would be picked up in case it is still important to do it in the next sprint. This is rollover. It is okay if there was a reason for it. And the team has to think of ways to correct it. But if it becomes a habit, it's not. So the team has to be conscious about what is happening with their sprint goal. They have committed on things to be committed during the sprint. We have to maintain that commitment. But again, Scrum is about adapting to change, so it's okay. The other good thing to do is rotate the facilitator. Let everybody get a taste of facilitating the meeting. And it's not just the product owner or the Scrum Master or the lead or somebody senior in the team who would be facilitating the meeting. No, it is perfectly all right if the team decides that, okay, we will do round robin. One by one, we will take up the responsibility every week and everybody would act as a facilitator. It's okay. Or if they decide that the junior most team member, he would start facilitating the team meeting so that he gets to come forward, actively participate in the discussions. So it's perfectly okay. The structure anyways would be decided by the development team. What works for them, they would continue doing it. What is not working for them, they would change it. It's all about inspection and adaptation. Another important takeaway is please keep the meetings time boxed because efficiency is very, very important. We are not here to, rather, I would say, waste others' time. Wasting others' time is not a good idea. So keeping the team meetings time boxed, staying focused towards the goal is very, very important. But overall, the takeaway is we are supposed to build a culture that delivers. We are supposed to build a team that delivers. In case there is something amiss, in case there is something going wrong, we are open to, we are transparent, first of all, to come forward and highlight something has gone wrong, something is going wrong, to be corrected. We are open to inspection and we are eager to adapt things so that the ultimate goal, the sprint goal, which we have committed on, we stay on track. So this is it. This is what I had to discuss with all of you. But ultimately, it's the development team who's making the decisions here. And the good decisions would show in the form of a better output by the team. And Daily Scrum event is a very important entity in that direction. This is it. We are open to questions, if at all there are any.
Amita, good evening. I'm sorry. So, is it not an anti-pattern to rotate the facilitator job here?
What makes you think so? If you can please elaborate that.
Like, for example, now I ask my development team to facilitate meeting for the next Scrum meeting, or like next sprint or a couple of sprints. And while I ask them to do it, it's a Scrum Master's job purely. And can't they expect in vice versa, a Scrum Master also do the development tasks in return? I'm not sure if this is an anti-pattern.
first things first. The Scrum Master is there he's a servant leader. So of course, he would not shy away from participating and doing things himself. But the agenda at the back of the Scrum Master is to enable the team do things themselves, make them independent, keep them highly motivated, provide them with the right tools and processes, give them guidance, but at the same time, do not take away the happiness of doing the things themselves. So Scrum Master is there to guide, to facilitate things, but he's not supposed to do things himself. If in case he is joining the daily Scrum meeting, in case he is rather adding value towards the increment, he is actually donning the hat of a developer. He is acting as a development team member, not the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is there to help the team, enable the team, empower the team, do things themselves. I hope that covers, or anything you would want to highlight.
Yes, thanks. Yep.
Thanks. We have time for some more questions. And also we have another option is we have Mentimeter. We can play one more quiz. Any questions we'll spend some time on, otherwise we'll move to the quiz.
Hi, Amita.
Hi.
So regarding these popular methods, you mentioned the first method of 3 questions. There is a pitfall that it can become mundane or boring. So do you have any suggestion, like what all things we can do to make it interesting with this method?
Yes. Few things which the team can do is rather make it more interactive. Remove the mundaneness from it. They can rather change the way the questions are covered. Rather than covering these 2 questions, they might want to add a few more questions to it, which would make it things interesting. The other way is rather going in sequence. They can bring in a toy or a ball at times. They can flip the coin or throw the ball, and whoever gets it gets a chance to speak next. So they should be trying to making things interesting. The other thing is people do fun Fridays. Say on Friday, we would try to cover our discussion within 5 minutes. In the remaining 10 minutes, we would utilize to do some team building activity, doing something interesting. So there are other ways. It's all depending on the team's innovativeness. The team can decide and bring forward further ideas. We just have to rather take the stage, make it open for them, throw this idea on the team. How do we make it interesting? And they would themselves come out with interesting ideas, which we just have to incorporate.
Sure.
Any further
Thank you.
questions? Thanks.
I think, yes, that's a good idea.
Sure. So we do have some time left, and we can move to Menti. Okay. That's one question. Okay. What can happen after the daily Scrum? Would the rest of the sprint's work be replanned? Would rest of the sprint's work be adapted? A detailed discussions can be done after the Scrum meeting, or all of them? What would you think? Perfect. So looks like we have got the right spirit of daily Scrum event. I'm really happy. Moving to the next question. Okay. This is good. Majority of us are in the same direction. Now, the structure of the daily Scrum is it described in the Scrum guide? Is it set by the developers? Is it advised by the product owner? Or is it facilitated by the Scrum Master? Perfect. It is for the developers, by the developers. We need to remember that. Scrum Guide, unfortunately, just gives guidance. It does not talk about what will be the structure. The earlier Scrum Guide did talk about 3 questions, but the latest Scrum Guide, in that, there is no mention of the 3 questions. It only says that the team is open to decide by themselves what will be the structure of Daily Scrum. Moving to the next question. Mandatory attendees at the Daily Scrum are perfect. The developers. That's the right answer. Would like to highlight a few things here. When 11% of us say that the developers and the Scrum Masters are mandatory attendees in the Daily Scrum meeting, the Scrum Master is required to attend the meeting when the team is new to Scrum. They need hand-holding, or that is the time when it becomes mandatory for the Scrum Master to be available. But once the team has started writing things on their own, the Scrum Master can happily take a step back. It's perfectly okay. So the Scrum Master and the product owner, they are the optional attendees for Daily Scrum meeting. But the developers have to be there. The catchphrase is for the developers, by the developers.
And Amita, what if the product owner is also contributing a few of the items on the board?
Then he is most welcome to attend the Daily Scrum meeting, because then he is adding value to it. If he is adding value in the Daily Scrum meeting, awesome, most welcome. But if he is coming just to get the status update, then he can be there, but he can be a silent listener. The other thing is, in Scrum, the responsibility for conducting Daily Scrum rests with whom? Is it with the Scrum Master or the developers or the Scrum team? While majority of us think that the responsibility of conducting Daily Scrum lies with developers, the answer is correct. But again, the Scrum Master is responsible for overall implementation of Scrum practices in the team. So he cannot shy away from the responsibility. He is there. It's possible that he would be there in the background. It's rather good that the Scrum Master stays in the background. Let the team take the stage, because it's important to empower the team. What is required is we have to keep the team motivated enough. We have to provide them with the right processes, with the right tools, and then let them take the decisions. Let them go ahead. At the max, it'll happen that they might slip here and there. In the retrospection, they would inspect and adapt. But important thing is they are taking their decisions themselves, learning from it. So the idea is to keep on improving things at the right pace. That is the idea of Scrum. The team would inspect and adapt to ensure that the efficiency, the team is working in the right efficiency and reaching the sprint goal. So we have reached the end of the presentation. Thanks a lot, all of you, for your inputs. In case there are any further queries, we have 5 minutes with us.
Yeah. Just wanted to check whether one Scrum Master can handle 4 teams.
Yes, of course, he can.
Okay.
It's basically the Scrum Master would be accountable for implementing the right Scrum practices in the team. If he is experienced enough and capable of handling multiple teams, it's up to him, because ultimately he would empower the team. Slowly, the team would start functioning on its own. The Scrum Master has to keep an eye on things to ensure that the team is focused. implementing the right practices. It's perfectly okay if he's working on
Okay.
multiple projects. We all do multitasking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of this session. Thanks a lot for participating. You've been a great audience. We discussed Daily Scrum event. Hopefully, you would be going back with a fresh perspective on Daily Scrum. You would be implementing this Daily Scrum event in the right way. Of course, people are aware, people do things correctly. But after this session, might be you would be able to highlight a few changes in your existing projects. That I would call success. And
Amita, just one thing I want to check. Like, will you be sharing the slides and recording or somewhere?
I believe the recording is shared by
Okay.
Anand.